I think everybody, and I mean everybody, should own some physical gold. I mean, look what's happened. The dollar since 1971 has lost 95% of its purchasing value. In the meantime, paper currencies have come and gone, been destroyed, been inflated away. I think the signs are everywhere that we're heading towards a different monetary system.
Is that a scary future for you? I mean, you have kids.
Frank Giustra is a Canadian businessman that became a billionaire from financing mining companies globally. In today's highlight, he expresses his alarming concerns about the current state of the world economy because he believes we are heading towards a great monetary reset. Luckily, Frank offers us a secure way to protect our wealth during the tumultuous economic times ahead.
From what I'm hearing from what you're saying, you mentioned the word gold and this new system in tandem. Let's talk a little bit about what role you feel gold will play in this new system. And to challenge that, I would say, what about digital currencies? There's so much talk about how if there was a new reserve currency, it would be digital in some form. So let's start with gold.
Okay, so Russia, it's obvious what they've done. They, pre the invasion of Ukraine, they de-dollarized, they sold most of their dollars, and now are the world's largest, fifth largest gold holder. Okay, so they were prepared for this. They thought ahead. China, they were very transparent about it. So you could see what Russia was doing. China's a whole, and I think China's the key, not Russia. China's a whole different ball of wax. You know, if you know about the Chinese gold reporting system over the last 20 years, it's not transparent by any means. Several times in the last 20 years, they've stopped reporting, and then they come out, and when they report, gold reserves go much higher. The last time they did that was 2019.
That's right.
And they published that they had 1,950 tons of gold. There's no way on earth that
you
is
don't believe the numbers.
Not even close. Think about it this way. China is the world's largest gold producer, 15% of world gold production, and they don't allow the export of mined gold. They're the world's largest importer of gold. They've mined 7,000 tons in the last 15 years. We know what they've mined. We don't know because it's very difficult to gauge how much they've imported. I am absolutely certain the reason they stopped reporting is because I know as a former trader, if you're trying to accumulate something, the last thing you want to do is show your hand because you're going to drive the price up. So they're doing it quietly. And I think now that the cat's out of the bag, that everybody's talking about a monetary reset, I think that the next time they declare, whenever that may be, could be a few years from now, it'll be as part of a new monetary strategy by China.
So let me ask you this. We all know they rolled out a test of their, central bank digital currency. Why was not phase one done with gold? You feel they're saving this? They're going to...
Yeah, I think they're accumulating gold. And I think I wouldn't be surprised. And again, I'm just speculating, but I'm just looking at the numbers of how much gold China is accumulating over the years. It's massive. Since 1995, 46,000 tons have moved from the west to the east. And I think most of that is China. And I think that, again, they, in their minds, need to have a certain amount of gold. Keep in mind, the U.S. has 8,100 tons.
Right.
And if gold is going to be part of the new monetary system, it's got to be something that they can prove that they can back the currency, whether it's to the tune of 20% or 40% gold backing with the gold that they own.
Okay, so folks might bring up the U.S. gold standard and say, well, Frank, they had stopped the U.S. gold standard. Some would argue it didn't work. Some would say it was working, but they chose to stop it. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, did it work?
Well, it was working better than what happened after 1971. I mean, look what's happened. The dollar since 1971 has lost 95% of its purchasing value. Okay, basically, when they went off the gold standard in 71, they let the dollar float freely. And first of all, you had 10 years of inflation, and that if you held only dollars in your checking account from 1971, it'd be worthless.
Say, well, why would I invest in gold if there is, I don't want to use the word manipulation, there is this kind of common interest to keep it suppressed?
I think, one, you would hold it because it is a store of value. And if you watch the markets and the bond market, these equity markets, the crypto world come crashing down, gold's done okay. I mean, sure, it hasn't gone up, but it's done its job. It's maintained its store of value. But then as additional insurance, if I'm right, and I think the signs are everywhere that we're heading towards a different monetary system, bifurcated or multiple currencies, then you want to own something that's going to have to be revalued. And I can walk you through the numbers, how that revaluation would work.
I want to say this because the folks at home may say, Frank, it sounds like you're talking about a great reset, which, just a few years ago were conspiracy theories. I mean, are you talking about, is this the Great Reset?
I think you're seeing the beginnings of. There's no doubt in my mind we're heading towards a reset. I just don't know what it looks like at the end of the day. I just watch all of the indicators, like the accumulation of gold. And you think about, since 2010, all the central banks around the world have been buying gold, right? Every year, all of the non-Western countries.
Right.
Brazil was late to the game. In 2020, they came in 2021 and they doubled their reserves in just 1 year. They went from 60 tons to 120 tons. So I think everybody is preparing, setting the stage.
I want to zone in on the US, but first you mentioned the new Moscow gold standard, which would challenge basically the LBMA. How pivotal is that for you? Is that something we should really be focusing on? Is it a non-event? How important is it?
I think you have to view it as a piece of a bigger puzzle. It's an important piece, but to me, it's a lesser important piece than what is happening in terms of all of these conversations by the Shanghai Cooperation Organization or the BRICS, China, Russia, the rest of the world, clamoring for something different. Okay. So it's just one piece of a mosaic that I see kind of unfolding in front of my eyes.
I want to talk about the U.S. because I know you've written in depth about how the Biden administration is looking at regulating cryptocurrencies, and it looks like it's happening faster than many people thought. I know speaking with you, you've said they will not want a competing currency, and they'll do everything to stop Bitcoin. I've spoken to other experts on the flip side who will say the U.S. will not want to be last in this race. If Bitcoin is the future, they're not going to want to ban it. They're going to want to be ahead of it. I want to really get your thoughts here.
Yeah, I think you have to separate what the U.S. really wants is to be ahead of the game on blockchain, not Bitcoin particular, or some form of digital system that they can eventually take over. And that's, they're going to create their own central bank digital currency like everybody else in the world. And they're not going to want competition. I see Bitcoin as an anti-sovereign fiat play. And if I'm right about a monetary reset where everybody's going to something else that incorporates digital currencies in that whatever they create, the last thing they're going to want is the competition from Bitcoin. And as I said a year and a half ago during our debate with Michael Saylor, eventually they will want to take Bitcoin out. I think there's too much risk there.
And I want to get back to the debate in a second and bring it up. But on the topic of privacy, right, is there going to be a way, if everyone's ushering in a digital currency, we've spoken about the dangers and what this will mean for our privacy, will there ever be a way to be outside of the system, or this is it?
The only thing that I can think of, and again, I don't have a crystal ball, okay, here, I'm just speculating, but the only thing I can think of is have some physical gold, okay? I think everybody, and I mean everybody, should own some physical gold. That means, according to your wealth, okay, in relationship to your wealth. Even if you own one coin, it's $1,700 a coin. Recently I saw that there was a discovery in the UK, they were building a house and they found a pot of gold that was 250 years old. Today's gold has the same purchasing power as that gold had back then. It's all relative. And in the meantime, paper currencies have come and gone, been destroyed, been inflated away. Own some gold is all I can say. I don't have any other answer because they can't attack your coin of gold. They can certainly, if they wanted to, attack anything that's out there in the digital world.
Is that a scary future for you? I mean, you have kids.
Dalio reveals how the current economic crisis is much worse than we thought it was and what to buy to preserve your wealth.